those wind chills, you're probably thinking ahead for your morning commute or even the kids' bus ride.
Even though the roads run right next to one another, Dane County and Madison crews are using different means to make it safe for drivers. Danica Lewis has been out on those roads all evening, and now she's parked on the backyard patio with some details. Danica.
Well, Eric and Michelle, the temperature out here, as you can see, is pretty cold by my gear. And then you add that with the temperature of the pavement underneath of all the snow and ice, and there are going to be issues for the drive. And as with any problem, there are multiple ways to solve it. So some are steering away from the salt equation. Simple math would show that flakes plus wind plus negative temperatures equals...
It all depends on, what you're doing.
For Dane County crews, the solution is salt, 59 trucks filled with it. Highway manager Dan Werent says it all adds up on the highways.
We're plowing like the Beltline, the interstate, very high volume, high speed roads.
Madison Street's headquarters is one giant dune, and for the 32 trucks out through the night, subtract salt and spread sand instead.
We are basically just throwing down sand for traction.
Streets coordinator George Dreckman knows it's a temporary fix, but says the alternative would only multiply the problem.
We're basically just creating a nice smooth layer of water on top of a frozen surface that freezes, and whoosh, you got black ice and you're off the road.
From math to snow science.
There's a dance going on at that temperature.
Mike Randall with the Wonders of Physics program breaks down how salt breaks down ice, showing us scientifically it can't do much below 20 degrees. The fully frozen water boxes out any molecules that would help with melting.
Water can leave easily, it can't reattach easily. You've just effectively lowered the melting point, which is good news for drivers because while wet roads are slippery, icy roads are way, way worse.
Ice is pretty solid in a saltless beaker.
So if I put this down in here,
but the salty slush is actually colder.
that temperature should drop to 0 or lower.
So there is science behind salt and sand. Hey, as long as it keeps you safe. Isn't that right? Well, back to math now. Add this one up. Dreckman says he's with the Madison Streets, and he tells us sand runs about $10 a ton, while salt runs almost $70 a ton. So he plans to get the crews out salting once that temperature does get above that 20-degree mark. But something both he and Barron over at the county level agree on is they really hope the sun comes out tomorrow to help with some of this thawing and to maybe warm some of the pavement up and help on that front.
Lots of science going on in there.
I know. It was actually really interesting to hear all of that behind it because, you hear so often salt versus sand and what it does, but now you see the molecular proof, right?
A lesson for all of us. Danica, thanks.
Sure.